We have a passage from retired UU Minister Tim Haley called Amid All the Noise in Our Lives. So, amid all the noise in our lives, we take this moment to sit in silence, to give thanks for another day, to give thanks for all those in our lives who have brought us warmth and love, to give thanks for the gift of life. We know we are on our pilgrimage here, but a brief moment in time. Let us open ourselves here now to the process of becoming more whole, of living more fully, of giving and forgiving more freely, of understanding more completely the meaning of our lives here on this earth. This is a reading called And How Are the Children by Universalist Unitarian minister Patrick O'Neill. Among the most accomplished and fabled tribes of Africa, no tribe was considered to have warriors more fearsome or more intelligent than the mighty Maasai. It is perhaps surprising then to learn that the traditional greeting among the Maasai was Kasirian Ngara, which one would always say to one another. It means, and how are the children? It is still the traditional greeting among the Maasai, acknowledging the high value that the Maasai always place on their children's well-being. Even warriors with no children of their own would always give the traditional answer, all the children are well. Meaning, of course, that peace and safety prevail, that the priorities of protecting the young, the powerless are in place, that Maasai society has not forgotten its reason for being, its proper functions and responsibilities. All the children are well means that life is good. It means that the daily struggles for existence do not preclude proper caring for their young. I wonder, or Minister O'Neill wondered, how it might affect our consciousness of our own children's welfare if in our culture we took to greeting each other with this daily question, and how are the children? I wonder if we heard that question and passed it along to each other a dozen times a day, if it would begin to make a difference in the reality, I couldn't do it, of how children are thought of or cared about in our community. I wonder if every adult among us, parent and non-parent alike, felt an equal weight for the daily care and protection of all the children in our community, in our town, in our state, in our country. I wonder if we could truly say without hesitation, the children are well. Yes, the children are well. What would it be like if the minister began every worship service by answering the question, and how are the children? If every town leader, politician, had to answer the question at the beginning of every meeting, and how are the children? Are the children well? Wouldn't it be interesting to hear their answers? I wonder what that would be like. And now, without further ado, I'd like to invite Liz Anderson, J.P. Holmes, Marnie Piehl, and friends to come up to share their perspective on into the new millennium.
So we arrived back in Bismarck in 2006. I'd grown up here. We moved here in 1981 when I was 11 from Minot. And so I went to middle school and high school here, and then I went away to college, NDSU, which isn't that far. But if you stay in the place, your university town, and you put your roots down in a kind of creative community of friends, artists and poets and writers. We were English majors, so we were at poetry readings, and we went to a lot of art openings, and our crowd was really, I lived in a little bit of a bubble in Fargo. And Fargo is the east coast of North Dakota. It is a little bit of a different culture. I'm gonna stand by that. So we were there and had one baby and went to a Montessori school, and we were in it. We were in kind of a creative and liberal thinking bubble. And then we had two more babies at the same time, which will puncture any bubble, I gotta say. So we knew we had always wanted to come home because my husband's parents were Minot. We were here. My parents were here. So we came home, and my initial thought was, well, it's not gonna be that different. I grew up there. I know that place. Well, it was not the same. When you're younger, you don't question things as much. Things are what they are. You're a Republican because your parents are Republican. No offense, Mom. You're everybody. Everybody in your school is white and Christian, and you don't question what you think. Well, I'd grown to question some things, and when I came back in the work that I did, it was kind of creative work, the first thing that was asked of me when I arrived on my first day on the job in this new town was if I wanted to join the new Bible study that they were doing at work. And also, there was an assumption that I was a Republican. I was working in kind of a place where that was that was some of the work we did. And I just was really lost. I had small children. I just felt like I'd really come unhinged. I expected something different. And then I found this place. And we came here, and I really can't remember the first visit. I'd gone to the Unitarian Church in Fargo a few times. But the thing I remember the most is that at the time I came, around 2006, 2007, what I remember for people like Janice and Carol Jean and others saying is that there was a crowd of us who brought, and Liz is one of those, we brought a crowd of children with us. And it had been a while since there had been children, small children like that, it was sort of a cyclical thing. So I brought my children, and in thinking about why we're here and all these things and all the questions, it was my goal. I knew, like, this is our home, and this is where I was going to raise them, but I wanted to make sure that my kids knew that the questions are the answer. Like we sang just now. And I think that so we'll all cry today. I think that over the course of these years, that even when it feels like they're the mainstreamest of white boys, because they kind of are, they have it inside of them, their hearts and the way they think about the world. I know that this place has really rooted them in something bigger than what they get on the regular. So that's where I am.
All right, from one bubble to another, right? Just smaller.
Right. But with reality, I know
Right.
it's out there.
So I was raised completely without church. My grandmother and aunt brought me to the Baptist church every once in a while when I went to see them in the summers for a week or two. But mom was a lapsed Catholic, well, intentionally lapsed, and dad was maybe agnostic at most. So I didn't have any sort of grounding in this. And when I came here, Jean was just turned 2. We lived out in Minokan, so we're 15 miles away, and I joined MOPS because it said, "Hey, mothers of preschoolers," I'm like, "Yeah, it's me, help." And it was at the Evangelical Temple. And I thought, this isn't the right fit, but it better no the wrong group than no group. And Jean could go and play with kids, and as soon as she became sentient, honestly, I left. And they also said, "Come on the steering committee," but you had to check a thing that you pledge your allegiance to the Lord Jesus Christ, and I just wasn't ready to do that. And so I was passing as a sort of a semi-Christian or whatever, and it was like, ugh, I gotta go. Then worked Obama in 2008, and so many of the people who worked in that campaign were coming to this facility, this church, and I thought, man, the Nodlands, the Morrisons, the Sates. I mean, it was like this, hit parade of UUs at the Unitarian Church. And as that ended, I thought, man, I should really check it out. I can't believe I grew up in Denver and never heard of the Unitarian Universalist Fellowships, but somehow I didn't. My dad had gone, oddly, but he didn't like it. Maybe that's why I didn't hear about it. So, but I came here and I brought some people with kids, and people did say, "Wow, it's great to have kids here." And I just thought, my kid was questioned on the basketball bench in kindergarten. Well, told if you don't believe in God, you're going to go to hell. I mean, their legs stick straight out from the chair. They're so little. And they're telling each other these things. And Owen and Quinn took her and said, "If anybody gives you a hard time, you come to us." And I was like, "Okay, Jean, that doesn't mean like you got in a little scuffle, but something big. You go to them. Don't wear it out." But it was so powerful to have that child support. Well, you know what I mean. Not like, baby daddy. No, but it meant a lot. And just that place, she dips in and out, but that sense of place for her, like you said, we're just all going to cry. But it's a powerful thing when you are feeling lonely and out there and exposed, and when you see your kid feeling that. It's powerful to have a place where they don't feel that. So that's what this is. And there's more. Like, when I came, we had it was a new minister that was sort of good for parts of things and not good for others of things. And then we've now progressed to this amazing minister. And so the progression of this fellowship and the way, as I said earlier, that we've stepped out into really leaning into what we do and believe also is role modeling that I want me to see and you to see and our kids to see.
Before I grew up Episcopalian, and then went through a lot of churches in Milwaukee. Went through the Way International cult. It is now considered a cult. Then enlisted, went through the military. Didn't go to the church a lot until the Marine Corps made us go to the Mormon church. We found out why. They have a good spread on Christmas, so that was we had a guy. We had Christians and Muslims and everything in my boot camp. They made all of us go to that, and that was awesome. Mormons are nice. Yes. We just had, my uncle just passed, and we had a good Mormon funeral, so it was really nice. But anyways, to this thing is, then moved out here, and then I went to St. George's, and then moved to Williston. And we're not a big fan of the Episcopal Church. I got upset because they were talking about how they need to go save Native Americans on the reservation, and that kind of pissed me off with the bishop and all that. Why save a race? That doesn't make sense. Save people, not races. And so it was a big campaign to save the natives, and it was like, well, I'm out. This one's not saved anymore. So when I moved back here from Williston, I'm originally from South Dakota, by the way, not here, so I didn't grow up, but moved here. My mom was leaving St. George's, and she was coming here a lot, so that's when I started coming. My first impressions here weren't that great, so I had some really bad a couple times visiting, but I didn't know what to think of everyone. We had tables set up, and we were doing stuff, and I'm like, I don't get any of this, so, but I don't know what it was. Clay Jenkinson spoke, and then after that, I started coming more regularly, and now I'm not coming regularly. But I mean, I'm really, really happy that I found the UU thing. I tell Karen this, just because I'm not there a lot doesn't mean I'm still not a UU. When I wouldn't go to church, the other churches, I mean, I wasn't an Episcopalian. I just said that's where I went to church. But I'm a UU. And I'm really proud of this place, and I really love meeting and talking to everybody when I come here. And when I am here, I like when people talk. You don't get that anywhere else, so for me, I don't see it anywhere else. So, and yes. And my daughter does not attend because I'm selfish on the weekends. I have her, and I keep her to myself until she doesn't want to be around me when she's a teenager. So I'm really grateful to this place, and I'm happy to be a member of the UU Church, and I think that's what they wanted from us, right? That's what we talked about on. And yes, all right. Well, and thank you. I guess I don't know.
One thing I wanted to say too is I think that you, because I razzed my mom a little bit, so I did want to say that one of the most important things about my upbringing is that I always felt like my thoughts and brain were respected, and so branching out on new thoughts and new ways of being was not something I feared or anything like that. And I know that sometimes when we talk about coming in here, it's a place of shame. There's a lot of people come through a lot of religious experiences. I had a really positive church community growing up. We were Methodist, and it was generally positive. It just never felt like this. I appreciated what you said about the discussion, because that's one of the things I love, and it's probably the most embarrassing sometimes to my children is how people just, yeah, I know. And you just from the audience, you just start talking, and it's one of my favorite things about this place is it's just a big rowdy family all the time, and it's helped me be more open with conversation with the people I love too. So that's been really important again about the kids. So, are there questions?
Since the microphone came to me, I'll take advantage of it. So I have kids who are 4 and 7 here, and they were exposed to some pretty evangelical and Catholic churches before coming here. And they say things to me about Jesus and about heaven and where the dead cats we keep having go and things like that. And I always tell them, I don't know, you should ask Karen. But do you have any suggestions for little kids in turning the answer into the question, or any other responses you felt like were helpful to your kids?
Yeah, sure. So my daughter she doesn't go to church with her mom, but she lives in Williston. But when she talks about death and afterlife, she asks me questions. I try to learn 2 or 3 faiths, to figure it out, and the UU one. And then I tell her, I don't know. I don't have an answer. And I don't know anyone that's ever come back. So I don't, but I said, but you still have to believe in other people's faiths. So that's my answer to her, is I don't know. So it works.
I think, one thing that's helped me here is, and it's one of the things I love is so many different meanings. And in our house, just outside of church, my husband's agnostic. At one time felt that he was an atheist, which I always love this story. He grew up sort of unchurched, and his dad calls himself a pantheist, and they read stories from every tradition. But when he told his dad that he thought he was an atheist, his dad was furious with him. And he got over it, it's fine. But it just always made me laugh. But, we talk a lot about, for me, it's just that I love the universal energy, and I love the universalism piece of Unitarian Universalist, because to me that's what it's about, Megan, is that idea that we're all part of this energy, that we're all connected in our hearts. And there's, I always immersed it all, that, we're all one big energy, and we just go back into that. And so we just had a lot of conversations about it. I didn't try to answer their questions. I just tried to talk about it.
Yeah, and with Jean's experience, I think there's so much rigidity surrounding faith, particularly in this community, but inside these walls that falls away, and so that leaves a lot of opportunity for, well, here's what some people think, it doesn't work for me. Here's what I believe. Here's what and they can talk to various people to see that there's a variety of beliefs, but it sort of tipped Jean towards the super anti-religion, and I don't blame her right now, but she's 13, so that's what she does. But I think you could say, I just think, talk to Karen, but talk to anyone, and talk to other kids. Send her to Jean, or send her to Ryder and Wyatt, or any of the other, Maggie and the kids that are here, because I think there's some support and a little more honesty in that peer-to-peer discussion, or almost peer-to-peer, big kids. Anyway.
And just one other thing about that context, because, they live in other people's rigidity, those beliefs that other kids have. And I told them I wouldn't call on them, but I know that there's a lot of stories of the boys having the same experience Jean did, and having these conversations. And mostly, I think, as they're older, you just don't talk about religion, right, Owen? You just don't talk about religion, which is fine. But one of the things I do, my funniest story, though, is that, I always think here you're exposed, they know about all things, they know more than other kids. That's my selfish, look what I did. They know more than other kids. And, but we were talking about Christmas several years ago, and I know many of you have heard the story, but it was a little bit of a wake-up call in which somebody said, I don't think they know the story of Christmas. So I was in the car with Wyatt and Ryder, and I said, you guys, you know the deal with Christmas, right? You know what it's about. And I'm pretty sure it was Ryder who said, yeah, a baby was born, and then 3 wizards showed up or something, right? And I was like, oh, crap. That's sort of to get all the stories straight. It's a little bit of fail on my part.
We talk a lot about the Unitarian Universalist principles, and to me, the one that's closest to my heart and represents me the most is a free and responsible search for truth and meaning. And that's, when I first read that was a big key to being here.
This is not defensive at all. It's not at all, because I truly think the labels are what is keeping stuff from happening, and that I'm very proud of Marnie and my grandchildren. But what I was going to really say was not to join all the criers here. We could probably hire out for Greek funerals, because they used to have hired weepers, I guess. But I think it's important, just like studying Greek mythology, which I always thought was stupid, but so many of their other religions have similar beliefs about how they equate good deeds with certain gods and other things. So I'm happy that my grandsons are getting somewhat of a steeping in religion, as well as a community of searchers for what each individual believes, which is what I find here. So
I have told this story before. When our daughter, I was her Girl Scout leader, but she went away to Girl Scout camp. And they were sitting around the campfire one night talking about God. And Shannon said, I don't believe in God. And little Jenny yelled, you're going to go to hell, you're going to go to hell. And Shannon said, I don't believe in hell either. Which was a good conversation stopper. But, you know, what I would hope is that we could help our kids articulate what they do believe, not just what they don't believe. And it was very interesting with our daughter, anyway, when she went to college, she believed in all this international stuff, and she studied in China, and her degree was international studies, and really she did a lot of work on Chinese religions, understanding all the differences in this group and that group. So religion wasn't scary to her, but she didn't have to be fixated. And for you who are parents, junior high time seems to be the worst time for the kids because their peers are going through confirmation and they are learning their denominations, policies, beliefs, and whatever. And the Methodists may not even believe what the Baptists believe or what the Lutherans believe. And to be, you know, what we have to train our kids for is to see religion as a whole range of things that, what did one of my friends called it? Chinese takeout religion. You pick a little bit of this and a little bit of that.
I remember in some of the early days that I was coming around here, we were aware that we had a growing edge, that there were Christian people who also felt Unitarian Universalist, who would say, it seems that we accept any and all religions except for this one. And knowing that there are Christian people in this sanctuary right now, I was, you know, I don't want to call you out, Liz, but something you were saying the other night at choir as we were singing the songs that we're learning for the multi-faith Taizé service. I was really inspired by that and wondered if you'd be willing to
The part
speak
about
to
really
that.
being uncomfortable about singing some of those words, but doing it anyway, or what?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, just that. So, and I've sort of rectified words in songs, especially lyrics. I mean, I know the joke is that the UUs always alter the lyrics to fit their belief, but there are many rock and roll songs, say, that I sing along to that I maybe don't actually believe. Think about it. There's probably many that whatever act or actions, and so. And my sister used to say when I would get emotional, weird, like during a service or something, funeral or whatever, she's like, they're just words. And so that's how, we're failing at it usually here, but that even though I'm uncomfortable singing like, I can't even remember the lyrics, like praise be to the Lord God or whatever it is. I mean, it's like really very, very.
Jesus, remember me
Oh, yes. that
when
would
you
be
enter
it.
into your kingdom.
Yeah, yeah, and there's a disconnect there with me in those words, but the music is beautiful, and I appreciate that we're going into this space with people who that is an absolute truth, and I'm okay with that. And I guess the thing you were saying about we have to give, and Pat, about give our children, have them understand that there's a breadth of religion, I think it mostly is the parents. We come in and we have had no experience or bad experience or some of these set ideas, and so it's not the kids that need to be shaped up, it's the parents, because we're the ones narrowing them and constricting them. And so I'm trying really hard, because I have a fairly narrow child and husband who have very strong attitudes about religion. And I don't think that they're necessarily unfounded, but true Christians are amazing. But the problem is that many fall short. That's true of UUs too, I think.
Another thing that was going on in our church was the LGBT was being split amongst ourselves. And that's another thing I've been really happy to be a part of this too, is because I'm part of that community. So, and I've been very proud of the backup and support that this place gives unconditionally. So I'm very grateful for that.
For closing words, we have an excerpt out of the book Peace Begins With You by Catherine Schloss. All throughout history, there have been peacemongers, people who have worked for peace by trying to make life better for others. It's a tongue twister. They have worked to have laws changed and things shared more fairly so that everyone, whoever and wherever they are, can have the chance of a good life. Our world is full of change. Ideas and beliefs change, ways of living change, the natural world itself changes. In our lifetimes and across whole chapters of history, change is prevalent. So when we think about the future, we must think about living in peace with the land.